Hello, me again, Kyra, with my handsome husband, Derek. He totally is super thrilled to volunteer to help me today. I'm doing alternative hours number one, telehealth with a previous patient. So there are five things that and there's a kitty here too. There are five things that Derek and I are going to talk about today. So the first one, it says to choose a validated pre and post measure. So, Derek, have you ever heard of the perceived stress scale?
Yes.
Really?
It's been a long time. Can you remind me?
Oh, I would love to remind you.
Okay.
That's super convenient. So the perceived stress scale is a 10 question assessment. And what it does is it asks you questions about your stress level over the past month. So one of the really nice parts about that is it gives you a Likert scale, which is a basic never, almost never, sometimes, very often, fairly often. Um, and it's just a nice way to check in and to see how you're doing. Another thing that I really like about the perceived stress scale is it also has positives.
Mhm.
So if you answer you know what, I do feel like I've had all my poop in a group this month, you're more likely to have a lower score. And
Sure.
the perceived stress scale scores just like golf. The lower the better.
Excellent.
So now we're going to take about 5 minutes, and I really want to talk about how stress impacts your body.
Okay.
So you have a couple of special concerns, right?
Sure. Diabetic.
Yeah, totally. Type 1, right?
Mhm.
Because I know you have feelings about being a type 1 diabetic.
As opposed to type 2 diabetic.
Can you make your joke? It's funny.
Uh, Type 1 diabetics are. Um, we should be the only diabetics because type 2s don't count because they did to themselves.
It's
Oh.
it's real. Oh, Lord. Anyhow, so yeah, because you are indeed a type 1 diabetic, to clarify, he didn't do this to himself, stress impacts your body a little bit differently. Did you know that?
Greatly, yeah.
Super convenient that you knew that.
Right.
Thanks, man. So let's talk a little bit about how stress impacts most bodies, and then we'll
Sure.
talk about how it impacts type 1s, if that's okay.
Sounds great.
So stress impacts what I think of as really being like the big three. The first thing that it can impact is your sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second is your mood,
Mm-hmm.
how you're feeling about yourself, about other people, about the world around you. And the third, it can really affect your diet and your gut. Do those things ring true for you?
Yes,
Yeah.
especially with the sleep. Um, you mean also with regards to my diabetes?
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I've noticed stress can affect my blood sugar numbers and how much insulin I have to take.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point. So I wonder if there was any way that you could track that,
Um,
like your stress and your numbers.
um, you mean aside from just a logbook or a dual logbook for
Yeah,
both stress and blood sugar numbers?
I think a dual logbook would be helpful for you.
Hmm. Probably.
Definitely. Uh, so tell me a little bit about how stress impacts your diet and your gut with keeping your diabetes in mind.
I know that the more consistent your diet is in regards to what you're eating day to day and your insulin usage accordingly, the more consistent you are, the easier it is to control your numbers.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's really true. One of the things that I think we're talking about when we talk about stress, there are a couple different types of stress, but one of those types is chronic. And I really think what we're going through right now as a community, that social isolation, the lockdown, though we have been told in Alaska we can start to expand our bubble, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that chronic stress is starting to impact people in new and exciting ways that none of us really prepared for. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think people are really noticing um, cabin fever a little bit, I suppose, among
Yeah.
other things.
And I mean, you'd think we'd be good with cabin fever up here, but I think in part because the sunshine's coming back, um, everybody wants to be out and about and doing, and it's really hard to be told, especially up here, that you
Yes.
can't. So I think some other interesting ways that stress impacts the body, aside from sleep, mood, and gut, I think one of Oh, I just clicked the wrong button. Sorry, I was trying to bring up my resources. I think one of the other ways that it really impacts people in a way that makes them unprepared is it impacts their social structure,
Yeah.
right? Because if I'm feeling stressed out, maybe I'm pushing people away as opposed to bringing them in.
Sure.
And sometimes that can create a negative feedback loop. And I wonder if that's maybe happening with what's happening with social isolation and social distancing right now.
Probably a fair amount.
Mm-hmm. So I also think that it's really important, especially with the type of diet that most Alaskans eat. A lot of us live really subsistence-based lifestyles, so we do a lot of foraging. We have a lot of fresh fish. We do a lot of game meats as well. Um, I think how stress affects the gut, especially up here, is a little bit different than maybe some other places. I don't know. What has your experience been with stress in your gut, in your belly?
Well, I know a lot of people it probably affects how their belly feels. Some people, I think, it upsets their stomach. Some people doesn't affect them at all. I think a lot of people probably eat differently when they're stressed, so that
Yeah.
can really affect how your stomach is acting.
Yep. I think you're right. What are some of the things that you can put into place to help yourself in that area?
Consistent diet,
Mm-hmm.
fruits, vegetables.
Yep, totally. Anything else? I always encourage people to stay away from the fast and easy foods. And like the community that we live in, we don't have fast food here. Like we just don't. We don't have a McDonald's. We don't have
Sure.
yet like we have a Subway if that counts. Eat fresh. Um, but I encourage people to stay away from the fast and easy. Stay away from the chips, the nachos, all of those yummy things.
Comfort foods.
Comfort foods, yeah, because they impact your gut, and your gut in turn directly impacts your stress level.
Sure.
So I think that those things are important too. So I also wanted to take some time today to talk about ways that you can relax your body.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Russell knows from that other video that you were super enthusiastic about participating in, that you were
Always.
super pumped. You work at a refinery.
Yes.
Right? So tell me a little bit about your work culture.
I work with a lot of middle-aged to younger men who are in a male-dominated field that there isn't a lot of acceptance of yoga or things deemed unmanly, meditation, things along those lines. It's usually like if you're having a tough time, you swallow it and you don't talk about it and you just push on.
You just deal, yeah.
The unhealthy things.
What's interesting is your workplace has a high instance of like cardiac distress incidents. I wonder if there's a
Or quitting from too much stress.
Just I'm done.
Yep.
Leaving in the middle of shift.
Yep.
So when I was looking at this topic that I had to talk about ways to relax the body, I was really thinking about things that you could use in your workplace in such a way that people aren't going to give you a hard time about those things.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you mentioned like meditation is a hard no. What about doing what in my middle school practice I call birthday candle breathing?
Birthday candle breathing?
Birthday candle breathing, yeah.
It's like deep breath and...
Sort of. So I'm going to face directly the camera. So this is usually how you blow out a birthday cake, right? Like you set the cake down, it's got a candle, everybody's singing, you're super excited, and you're staring at it, and then you go, okay. And you take a really long, deep breath in, right? Mm-hmm. Then you hold it because you're thinking about your wish. A pony. And then after you're done blowing it out, you think, did I really get all the candles? Is my pony wish coming true? Or did mom and dad get one of those stupid trick candles that is never going out, right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So you and me, we are going to practice some birthday candle breathing.
Okay.
The other thing that's important about birthday candle breathing is you really need to work on your posture when you do it. So you got to sit up straight, put your shoulders back, okay? And a good way that I like to think about putting your shoulders back is you want your shoulder blades to be in line with your hip bones, right? Like if you could bring them together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good way. Then I want you to put, you can't see, but we're going to put a hand on the belly and a hand on the chest because you want your belly hand to move, not your chest. Why do you think that is?
Because we're doing belly breathing.
Yeah, because we're totally doing belly breathing.
It's
You should really get paid for this. You're good at this. Okay, so we're going to pretend that somebody has set your birthday cake. It would probably be me. I'm usually the birthday cake maker. Setting it down. So you're going to stare at it, and then you're going to breathe in. Oh, did you see that? Your chest raised.
Oops. Did the wrong one.
So you want your hand to go
Okay.
out, okay? So try it again. So that feels different, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to take a 4-second beat. Think about your wish. And blow it out.
Is it a hard breath or is it like a slow release?
Well, I think it depends on who you're around. So, like, for me in my workplace, which is a little bit different than working in a refinery, I would feel totally comfortable when I'm frustrated in front of my boss and my coworkers doing a hard blowout, like, and they would all like laugh because I would look like a puffer fish and ha 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 ha. I think if you were to do that in your work environment, it would go a little bit different, huh?
Yeah, somebody might just think I was angry at them or something.
Yeah, totally. So what I would encourage is instead of the hard blowout, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's try that again. So one hand on your belly, one hand up here. Bring your shoulder blades down to your hip bones. Okay. Breathe in through your belly. How many times do you think you should do that?
Until you're relaxed or a certain number or...
You know, I know your work environment, so I cannot envision you doing that until you're relaxed. Like you would just never be able to come home.
Lots of breathing.
Like, I just live in the lab now. I really recommend 5.
5.
Here's the other thing I really recommend. At the end of your belly breathing, it's important to get up and walk around. Okay? This accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, your belly breathing has gotten a whole bunch of really good oxygen to your brain. If you get up and you move, you're firing your glucose, which is feeding your body energy, right? So you've calmed it down, you got some good oxygen and glucose. And all the research shows that in order to do like your best thinking and your best work, and working in a petroleum laboratory, I mean, you have to be on top of your game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good save.
Flammable materials.
Flammable materials. So if you do that walk around, you're really more likely to be firing on all cylinders. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think that's really all that we have to talk about stress. Let us double check our little thing though. Yeah, I think that's it. Awesome. Do you feel calmer?
Yes.
Should we tell Dr. Russell, who's been sitting behind us this whole time?
Our very large cat.
This is our chubby kitty.
You
We love her a lot.
You gotta get the second half up there so you can see the whole effect. Yep, there you go. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.